welcome to our 4th annual Night of Expression, recognizing Teen Dating Violence Awareness Month. My name is Leah Parker, and I'm an outreach specialist here at Child and Family Center. We are very excited that you decided to tune in tonight. Not only will tonight be a night full of artwork and poetry, but also a night of awareness of dating violence. Statistics show that 1 in 4 boys and 1 in 3 girls experience some form of physical violence before the age of 18. This statistic is what fueled the mission of tonight, a night for teens to take a stand with each other against this issue. And tonight we have a jam-packed night, one full of art, poetry, an inspiring survivor story, and at the end, a really big announcement. So let's go ahead and get our night started with 2 local artists, Natalie Perez and Emily Huerta.
Hello, my name is Natalie Perez. I'm an 11th grader at Saugus High School, and my art piece is called Always Enough. Coming from a personal background of this awareness, I wanted to show people how they can speak up and are not alone in this if they happen to be going through this type of pain themselves. Coming from this piece, I wanted to first start off with the girl herself. The reason I chose to design this girl was because I wanted to show how tough and powerful we are as individuals, and to show how strong we are after something tragic has happened. The reason her face is smudged is to show that no matter behind what people see and show and what we want them to see, we can be broken, but we are stronger than that. Also, in the background, I have a orange ribbon, the color of the awareness, and then red to show that there can be hurt and harm and blood and bruising, but we still overcome that because we are powerful people. I also have a handprint there to show that you can get hurt and it's not okay. But to overcome that, I have words of positivity to show that we can overcome that, and you can be strong and powerful, and you can be whoever you want to be, and you can make your own story and become your own destiny.
Hi, my name is Emily Huerta. I'm a freshman at Saugus High School, and the art that I have created today is called Cut Off. It is about relationship between 2 people that have a lack of communication. I'm trying to bring awareness to something that is overlooked. Without communication, it can create a negative environment, and it can also cause your partner or the other person to create some pretty toxic traits. Thank you.
Thank you, ladies, so much for sharing your artwork with us. It is so wonderful to see such important message depicted in such a beautifully creative way. Now we want to go ahead and transition into an inspiring survivor story from one of our local community members, Alexandra Garcia.
Okay, so hi, my name is Alexandra Garcia. I'm 27 years old. I am currently a licensed marriage and family therapist, and I just wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about my past, when I was younger, and where I'm at now, and some of the challenges I have gone through and how I've overcome them. So hopefully someone who is listening to my experiences can maybe relate to some parts of it, and maybe also, seek help if they feel unsure about any mental health issues that they may be going through, any relationship issues that they've been going through. So a little bit about me. I'm the youngest of 3. I grew up in a Hispanic household. I grew up very Catholic. I grew up in a 2-parent household. My parents are together. I did experience some now as an adult, I realized childhood trauma. And basically my story kind of began in high school when I was 15. So it was my first boyfriend, my first love, you can say, and my first serious relationship. And it turned out to be, now that I'm an adult and I've gone through, therapy and my own journey of healing it, looking back, and even when I was in it, it was just very unhealthy and abusive. So my relationship was from 15 to 19, so predominantly my whole high school time. A lot of what I experienced in that relationship was in the beginning was love bombing. So it's, when two people get together and one person just kind of showers you with like the honeymoon stage, or kind of showers you with, grand gestures, love, you're the only one, very possessive, very controlling. But it kind of feels like nice when you're receiving that, like, oh, you're the only person, and you kind of feel safe in that moment when you're kind of getting the love bombing. And then very quickly, within the first year, it turned into a lot of emotional and verbal abuse. So it was a lot of name calling, a lot of threats, and then ultimately it just ended up being a lot of, gaslighting, manipulating. But at the same time, in that situation, I thought it was normal that I was so isolated, and I didn't really have friends. I didn't go out. It was just us. He kind of controlled my day-to-day. I missed a lot of time with my family, with my friends, a lot of experiences that I feel like every healthy young teenager should experience: going to dances, hanging out with friends, going to trips, going to the beach, just healthy activities, sports. I didn't play any sports. I didn't work, even though I wanted a job when I was in this relationship. So it was a lot of emotional and verbal abuse and gaslighting, and then it quickly turned into physical abuse. And I just remembered the first time that, it became really physical. I think that was a sense that it took me back, because, the emotional and verbal abuse, when you're going through it, it's kind of hard to say to yourself, this isn't right, or I deserve more. But once it kind of crossed that physical boundary, I kind of realized, okay, this is I don't feel safe in this relationship. Not only do I not feel safe in this relationship emotionally, I didn't feel physically safe. So that was kind of my journey, in the relationship. But now, as I got older and looking back at it, I feel like kind of tell signs that somebody that is very close to maybe a young adult or teenager, if they're going through, a change. A lot of things that I had were depression and anxiety, and I didn't know I had depression and anxiety when I was in that relationship. My grades and my motivation were significantly dropping. So I was barely passing my classes. I was barely going to classes, doing my work. I was sleeping a lot. I wasn't eating. So I'm a tall girl, so I was lost 20 to 30 pounds because I just was so wrapped up in, the ups and downs of the relationship that it affected my mental health, and it affected me where I was not eating. So that's, a symptom of depression. And I also learned through therapy, my own therapy, that, I was having a lot of anxiety, but I was also having a lot of symptoms of PTSD. So I was having a lot of startle responses when I was in the relationship, as well as when I left the relationship. So startle responses are if somebody comes behind you, if you hear a loud noise, if you're out in public, if you're in your home, you don't feel safe. So you have a really jolted startle response. You're very hyper vigilant of your surroundings. I had low motivation. I was very isolated. So it was just him. It was just about him and his family and his friends. Another symptom was my priorities were I didn't have any priorities. I was just kind of living moment to moment, not feeling good about myself, very low self-esteem. So those are just kind of some of the symptoms that I had. Now looking back, I talked to my close family and friends, and they kind of saw it, but they were just kind of afraid to call it out or kind of approach me about it, because they were kind of nervous to bring it up, because they knew, whatever I was going through, this relationship was heavily toxic and affecting me. So no one really, brought it up. Another thing that I feel is a thing that happens, or something that someone can notice is like substance abuse as well is very common in these types of situations, in these relationships. So, the person I was dating was using a lot of substances, using narcotics and using alcohol. So that was around. So of course I was drinking as well as after leaving the relationship, I thought self-medicating was like the way to cope with what I had gone through. And then just other stuff was coming up from my past from when I was a kid. So I thought that drinking would make me feel better, kind of like numb it out. So I was doing a lot of self-medicating as a young adult. And then fast forward to like leaving the relationship. I was an adult, I was 18, 19 when the relationship finally ended. It ultimately ended, badly. Like the cops had to get involved. But I feel like I needed to do what I needed to do to keep myself safe. And so the cops did get involved, but I ended up starting therapy. So I was the first one in my family to go to therapy, and it was my choice. I just felt like there were so many things that had happened with that relationship, and then even when I was younger, that I just never really processed it, or I never sat with it and felt it. I just kept pushing it down. And another thing too about, abusive relationships is it's very shameful. There's a lot of shame around it. So with shame comes secrets. And I think that's a thing that I've learned in my journey is a very generational thing. Secrets it's a learned, behavior, learned ritual. So I feel like with the relationship came shame and secrecy. So I had to do a lot of work in searching and therapy and with myself to kind of break that, pattern of feeling shame, feeling guilty, the low self-esteem, the secrecy of it all, of this happened to me but nobody knows, or this happened to me and I don't want to talk about it, or I don't feel comfortable talking about it. And I totally understand that. And with everyone's situation and healing and journey, it comes with time and when they're ready to talk about it. But therapy was definitely, I'm a big advocate for therapy because I am a therapist myself. But I really do believe that I feel so honored all the time to hear people's stories, especially young people. That's like my favorite type of clients to work with. Is I have 6 years of experience doing therapy with 12 to 19-year-olds, as little as 5-year-olds, but I love working with teenagers. I love working with young adults because, I feel like sometimes, especially with adolescents, they're going through so much self-identity, like development and crisisness and trying to figure out what they want, who they are, and low self-esteem. And then if you add trauma to that, and trauma being an abusive relationship, trauma from your childhood, it could just be a really dark and confusing time. So I feel super honored to hear young people's stories. I feel honored to hear everything they've gone through and their experiences. And I just hope that, if anyone is struggling with mental health or substance abuse or a toxic relationship, an abusive relationship, that when they're ready to come forward and ask for help, I know how hard that is. I just hope that they know that they're really strong for doing that, and that there are people and resources there for you, and that you're not alone in what you're going through. And I just kind of wanted to leave off with one more thing. So there is this quote I got, and I feel like, with my story I relate to it, but just with life in general and healing, it just really, I feel like, needs to be said. So the quote is, "The person who speaks about their healing journey introduces the possibility that life doesn't have to be dictated by our trauma. Lives are changed when we heal out loud." And I think that piece of we heal out loud, it's really important that we have these conversations, and that, you aren't just your trauma or your past. There's more to life than just that chapter in your story, and you have so much more to live for. And I really do feel super honored to do the work that I do and hear young people and all people from different paths of lives, hearing their journeys and the trauma that they've experienced. I know it's very difficult to process and even feel and sit with and be sober, or tell a complete stranger like your truth and your past. I know how hard that is. I think it's really important that when you are ready to take that step, I want to hear your story, and so many other people do want to hear your story because it is important. So
thank you, Alexandra, for sharing your powerful story with us. We are empowered by your strength and resilience. Never forget that walking away from something unhealthy is brave, even if you stumble along the way. My name is Erica Hernandez, and I am the program coordinator for our domestic violence program here at Child and Family Center. For anyone experiencing something similar to Alexandra, know that there is help available. Our domestic violence program can assist individuals ages 12 and up with domestic violence education, case management services, court advocacy, prevention education, peer counseling, individual therapy, and a 30-day shelter. Again, we want to emphasize that there is help out there and you are not alone. Domestic violence has a direct impact on the mental health of the survivor. That leads us to Monica Dedia to tell you a little bit more about our mental health services here at Child and Family Center. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Monica Dedia and I'm with the Child and Family Center. Today I'm going to talk about our mental health program. We offer therapy services for children and teens starting from birth to age 26. And currently we offer services virtually through telehealth, and also we have some opportunities on site for face-to-face visits as well as over the phone. Really what therapy is the opportunity to speak to what's going on in your life at your own pace and in a safe space, free of judgment. I think what's nice is oftentimes teens may feel like there's such a lack of control in your lives, especially in the past year with the pandemic and things changing so rapidly and having to adapt to very new systems, and so many things changed that we had to adapt to. And what's nice about therapy is that you're really in control. You're in the driver's seat and the therapist is there in the passenger seat, guiding you along, providing support, and working as a collaborative team versus someone just kind of telling you or how to fix something. You're really allowed that space to kind of sit with what's going on in your life, process through some of those more difficult concepts and thoughts and emotions, and then work with your therapist in finding different ways to manage and solve different concerns that might be going on in your life. And you're allowed to do this again at your own pace. You're really in control, and I think that's really a nice opportunity when there's so much outside of our control. In therapy, you have the opportunity to speak as much as you want. If you feel that you communicate or express yourself better through art or journaling or through games or whatever it may be, that's an opportunity to really talk with your therapist about what works best, because ultimately everything is about you. It is a service just for you so that you can get to a place where you feel better. If there are questions or more questions about, what to expect when starting therapy, how will my parents or caregivers be involved, how often, how much do I have to talk about, all of this you can talk in that very first session with your therapist and letting them know who you are so that they can better support and collaborate with you. If you have questions about our mental health programs, you can call our main line and speak with our one of our access specialists. So I appreciate you all listening to me, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the event.
Thank you, Monica, for the helpful resource. And good evening, everyone. I'm Daniel, and I'm also an outreach specialist here at Child and Family Center. And to continue tonight's event, here's Pamela Rosenblum with some awesome poetry.
Hello, my name is Pamela Rosenblum, and I am a senior at Saugus High School. The night of expression was an opportunity for me to make aware of teen dating violence. Many of my friends have experienced this, and I want to make sure that people are aware of this issue. It's not just something that happens occasionally, it happens more often than not. And so I present to you today my piece, Dancer in the Woods. Lost in the forest, though no one knew, she felt despondence and melancholy. Tomorrow is not guaranteed, the voices said. No promises that there will be tomorrow. Fleeing away from the voices, she tripped, falling further from light and happiness, veering away from all that had been, her world collapsing as she lay on the ground. A creek gurgled, bubbling as she once had, the whispering voices bashing against her trust of love, splashing upon discontentment that ruled, the moonbeams illuminating her battered body. The mist glimmered in that light. That night was her fault and hers alone. Her beloved did to her what she deserved, selfish means to settle his frustrations. The actions cut through her being, love and support had little bearing now, but those who cared would be enough. The lunar light faded, but her hopes remained bright. She looked to the sky, dark and husky. Those unkind actions and words cannot dictate her. Her reality would not cease, and she shall dance in the woods, at peace with all that had been.
Teen dating violence and substance use usually go hand in hand, and substance use is one of the many programs that Child and Family Center offers. And here's Amanda Ellis with that substance use department to give you guys some helpful tips and resources.
Hi, my name is Amanda Ellis, and I'm a certified addiction specialist with the Child and Family Center Substance Use Program. I'm a certified domestic violence advocate as well. The Child and Family Center provides multiple services to teens struggling with substance use issues. We provide substance use treatment groups, therapy, psychiatry, and a domestic violence program. We strive to provide our clients a team of people to assist them in making changes in their life to recover and lead a meaningful life. Our outpatient and intensive outpatient substance use programs provide teens 1 to 2 weekly check-ins with a substance use counselor and a therapist if needed. We can help our teens that are going through teen dating violence that are also struggling with substance use issues. Experiencing unhealthy or abusive relationship behaviors is already a very difficult situation, but alcohol and drugs can only make it worse. Several studies show a direct correlation between experiencing dating violence and an increased likelihood of alcohol or drug use. Several studies show a direct correlation between experiencing dating violence and an increased likelihood of binge drinking in teens that are experiencing this unhealthy relationship. When a dating partner is under the influence of alcohol or drugs, the risk of more unhealthy and abusive behaviors are heightened, whether it's verbal, emotional, digital, physical, or sexual abuse. If a partner using abusive behaviors blames alcohol or drugs for their actions, it's an excuse. It is never okay to be abused in a relationship.
Thank you, Amanda, so much for sharing that awesome resource with us. So again, we just want to say a huge thank you to each and every one of you for tuning in this night. We could not be more grateful for your attendance and sharing in this evening with us. So with that, we say good night, and again, thank you.
But before you say good night to everyone, what about the big announcement?
Oh, the big announcement, that's right. Daniel, go ahead and share something with us.
Tonight, we're launching Child and Family Center's very own teen-dedicated Instagram page. And you can find the handle down below. It's Function, and it's just for helpful tips to live a healthy and functioning life.
And to help celebrate the launch of Function, we are doing an online raffle. Here's how it works. Every person who follows us and likes our very first Instagram post will be entered into the raffle for a chance to win an Amazon gift card. If you really are into Amazon, like I am, if you really would love to win this raffle, then you have the opportunity to also get some extra entries in there. You get an extra entry for every friend that you tag in that very first Instagram post. Again, We want this page to grow because it is a helpful and wonderful resource for our teens. So like, follow, tag, like Daniel said, it's in the comments below, and we'll see you there for some extra tips for your teens.
Again, it's linked down below. It's Function. Go ahead and follow us.
Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll catch you over there on Function.
Have
Bye.
a great night.
If you or someone you know is experiencing dating violence, please reach out to our 24-hour domestic violence hotline at 661-259-HELP. If you would like more information about our domestic violence program, you can call our outreach center at 661-259-8175.